So before we start talking about how to optimize the deliverability rate, the basics that we need to do before we even think about sending out your first email campaign really have to do with protecting your domain and your brand's reputation as an email marketer or just as an email sender in period. So it is Halloween coming up soon, and so we have a little ghostly creature on here invading your email inbox. And this is quite common and has happened many times over the past 12 months. So on the screen now you see a visualization of some very large companies, and then beneath that the number shows the quantity of email addresses or logins and passwords that were stolen from their services. So you can see, Target, 70 million email addresses stolen from their system. Very, very large amounts of data being stolen and sold on the black markets to spammers. These companies, some of them might have been targeted, political reasons, or because they were a large, easy target like JP Chase. But most of the time, this is done through automated bots. So don't think that because you run a small business, small medium enterprise, that you are left out of this. Very often an automated bot will go and look for vulnerabilities either on your domain, on your mail server, your web server, and then automatically take advantage of these. So one of the examples that you have probably received, like Bank of America, if you're a Bank of America customer, receiving an email asking you to reset your password, and it will look very much like it's coming from Bank of America, but it'll be a spoofed domain. So that's what they're doing in this Dilbert cartoon here. One, if we go back to the previous slide for a second, you can see UPS on here. This is one that I received many, many times. Our UPS account was hacked. So I would get emails, it went on for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and because it knows all of my ship-to addresses in my UPS account, when it hacked that information, I would get an email saying, David Dieterle sent you a package, click here to pay $4.90 in customs or charge on delivery, which would then take me to a site that was trying to extract my credit card information from it. So these are common things that can happen, and again, this can all be automated. So it can hack your small business and send out these emails to maybe all of your customers that you have loaded into your website or that you've sent emails to in the past. And this is why you see this stuff hopefully in your spam folder. Hopefully your inbox is filtering out these things good enough. So the danger is that your domain name can end up on a blacklist. And not this blacklist, but this is a great show that David, when he was here last week, actually introduced me to. And we wasted a couple hours watching that. So the real blacklist that we're concerned about is called an RBL, Real-Time Blacklist. And there's about 500 of them that exist. There's about 120, 150 that are actually statistically important. And what happens is if your email is abused, then meaning someone found a vulnerability in your DNS and sent out emails from your domain name without you knowing, or you sent it out and spammed people, then you're going to end up on a RBL, real-time blacklist. What happens then is that none of your email is going to get through. So I'll give you a real example. I'm just checking to see if they're on the call right now. Yeah, and about 2 years ago, this client's email ended up on a RBL. So they were aggressively sending email campaigns and did not have domain protection set up. So they didn't have the two things that we're going to talk about next, which are SPF Records and DKIM Records. So they were sending into a large corporation, and a number of people clicked either spam or flagged the email, and then their domain ended up on a real-time blacklist, and it really crippled the business for about 2 weeks. It was a very, very hectic week, stressful week for them and us as we were trying to help them fix it. We had nothing to do with getting them into this situation in the first place, but we were trying our best to help them out. So for 2 weeks, their sales reps are trying to send out proposals to customers, and just those everyday emails were just getting stuck. So no emails were able to leave their network. They were using Gmail accounts and temporary email accounts. It was a real disaster for them. We did finally get them off by appealing to these real-time blacklists and using a service that we're actually going to show you in a minute here. And you just excuse me, I have a little bit of a cough today, so I might take some breaks for water. And when I do that, I will look at the questions tab here and see if anything's coming in. But enough of the scary stuff. What the webinar is about today is really about improving your email deliverability rates. Everything we talk about, that's like the first slide said, everything that's great for your email marketing is essential for protecting your brand. So let's see how these three things, SPF Records, DKIM Records, and transactional email sending services help your email marketing. Then after that, Febby and Adele are going to talk about some of the nuances of sending the email campaign. Then at the end, I'll circle back with the quick tips, and we will wrap this up within 45 minutes. So the first thing, SPF stands for Sender Policy Framework. You don't need to learn any of these acronyms. You just need to know how to check to see if you have it set up already, and if you don't have it set up, what you need to do to get it set up. These topics that we're talking about are not, don't be intimidated that they're really geeky IT nerd stuff. This is stuff that you need to understand to know how to do as a business owner, as a sales director, as a marketing manager, because very likely the people that are responsible for this in your organization, your IT administrator, I know most of you outsource your IT to a third party, they don't give a damn about this stuff, and they're not setting it up for you. So I'm not going to show you how to set it up because it's tons of, it's just not something that as a sales director or marketing manager you should be setting up, but I'm going to show you how to check to see if it is set up, and if not, the directions to give your IT guy in order to do it. So the first one, SPF Records, we're going to use a website that is an amazing tool, and every time we have a client complain about their emails having issues, not going through, or we see a dip in the success rate of their email marketing campaigns, this is the first place we go to look, mxtoolbox.com. It's completely free. In the quick tips, I'm going to circle back and show one of the free automated features that everyone should be taking advantage of. But for now, we're going to use this tool to check to see if you have a SPF record set up on your domain already. So I just typed in our domain, SCI Global Services. The orange button has about 15 different options of things that you can check for on your domain. So we're going to click that drop down, scroll all the way down to SPF record, and this is what you should see. So the text that's in green at the top, that is actually called a DNS text record entry, which happens to have the SPF included in it. So this is on your DNS provider. So the mxtoolbox.com is querying your DNS provider, which is most likely wherever you registered your domain. So if you registered your domain at GoDaddy, that's where it's getting this information from. Network Solutions is another very common one that we see. You'll notice that there's multiple SPF records in here. So we have one for our transactional email deliverability system. So in this exact case, when you receive an email from us that is an update on a task that's going on in your project, and it comes from our ERP system, that's sent through Mandrake. In your use case, this is you'd have a company like Mandrake or SendGrid. There's about 4 or 5 other ones in there, and that's what your e-commerce server would use to send transactional messages as well. Then the other one in there, spam protection, is another one we use for our email marketing campaigns. So, make sure you have this green line of text at the top. That means you've done the first step. Second step, if you scroll down the page further, these green check boxes show you that it's actually working correctly. So it's showing you that the mail servers can actually see this information and it's in the right format. If we go back to the previous slide, you can see where it says include here. This is a very common mistake that we see. So we'll start doing email marketing for a client, send their IT admin the directive to include a certain SPF record to allow MailChimp, Constant Contact, Delivera, one of these services to send on that brand's domain's behalf. What happens is the IT administrator will go in and just paste in that SPF record. They'll delete or overwrite the original one. So then the customer will complain, hey, our customers aren't getting any of our Salesforce emails anymore. And that's because you have to daisy chain all of these different SPF records together. So I will be emailing everyone when I send a copy of the video, a PDF with all of the slides in it. So you'll be able to show this to your IT administrator, but most importantly yourself. Go on to mxtoolbox.com and check to make sure this is set up correctly for you. And the second one is DKIM Records. This stands for Domain Keys Identification Method, I think. I'm not sure exactly what the M stands for. And basically, when this is set up on your DNS, your email goes out, but before it sends your email, it sends an answer key, an encryption key. So your email gets sent encrypted. Your email contains the answer key, and the question key is sent to the receiver. So when you send email to Pfizer, it sends Pfizer's mail server the decryption key for the encrypted email that you're sending it. Obviously, email servers love this stuff. It means you're not spamming it, right? Spammers do not do these things. So check to see if that's enabled on your domain. Again, mxtoolbox.com. In the orange button, scroll down to DKIM lookup and enter in your domain. And all you're looking for right here is it says DKIM selector is required. And you're good to go then. So what's the third thing that we lay on here? It's Mandrill. We, in particular, use Mandrill because we like MailChimp. MailChimp is our favorite email marketing service provider, but there's tons of different ones out there. Mandrill has been very good to us over the last 2 years since we've used it. We love these reports and being able to see that all of our transactional emails and our customers' transactional emails are going through to the customer. So, for example, most of you that run an e-commerce site, your emails, you probably didn't know this, are sent out not from your e-commerce server. They're sent through Mandrill, and we can get a report to see how many of those order confirmations are going through. And when we talk in future webinars, we touched on it a little bit in our first webinar on email marketing for transactional emails. So, for example, when you send someone an email thanking them for their order and upselling or cross-selling them on other products, obviously very important for your marketing efforts to make sure that email goes through. We can pull a report and see how many of those went through, how many of them are opened, and all those great metrics. So mandrillapp.com is the domain. It used to be a service that we could add on to anyone's email marketing campaigns. So if for example, if we took over your campaign like 2 years ago, we would have added this on to it. Unfortunately, now it's part of the main MailChimp application, email marketing service, and it's a $10 add-on to it. So if you're using like Deliver or Constant Contact or iContact, you might want to consider using a competitor to Mandrill like SendGrid, but we should have a conversation about your goals for that first and kind of all the other servers that are sending information on your behalf. So a good exercise for you would be to map out, is this the stuff that we're not aware of? Map out all of the servers that are sending email on your behalf. So look at your mail server you don't have to worry about. That's likely your Exchange server sitting in-house. If you use Google Apps for Business, if you use Microsoft Office 360 for running your mail server in the cloud, they're already going to have all these sender records set up correctly. But think of the other applications that are using it. So your CRM system, Act, Goldmine, Salesforce, whatever that may be, it's probably sending emails to your customers, and it might not be using an email sending service to get there. So they might not be getting to their inbox. Your ERP system, whether it's sending, here's your FedEx shipping information, click here to track your order, or your warranty's expiring. Those sort of messages coming from your ERP system definitely should be going through here. Your e-commerce website, if you're not working with us already, definitely look into that. If you're working with us, we're already putting it through a service. If not our Mandrake account, then a very similar service.